I'm excited going to be saying how you can do a DC Halloween's puzzle for everyone. You need to do a Dream of the Endless, putting Jack Pumpkinhead into the real world combined with the Sam Hain from the dream world that he got from some kids' nightmares as of Sam Hain. Then the Teen Titans would use him to get into a criminal circus. Then them defeating a headless horseman, a witch, the Bigfoot, just for them getting him into hell where he'll belong with other monsters. I'll leave a link in the description below to my other video to the other stuff that would happen at the time. But here's what would happen in the main part of this story. Monster would be the monsters from the Monsterverse them needing to fight against in the next part of the story, which they're going into. And because Godzilla already crossed over with Marvel, you can use it to do a Marvel and DC crossover when he fights against the Justice League with King Kong. Because if you need to take full advantage of a crossover like this, because you might never get a crossover like this one again, and you also need to do good things for both sides of them, both sides of the crossover, to make sure everyone being happy and it making all of their fans happy. And for there to be more to the crossover than just the Justice League crossing over with the Monsterverse, you'd also need to make it having a lingering effect on both other universes after the crossover being done. You also need to make this canon so it having an effect on the rest of the DC universe, so it being better than your usual crossover. You would also have Batman fighting against King Kong and Godzilla with his Batmech, and the Legion of Doom would break into the Justice League headquarters to steal the Phantom Zone projector and the Mother Box and the Dreamstone, to teleport all the giant monsters from the Monsterverse into the DC universe to defeat the Justice League and to help them fight against the Justice League. Legion of Doom seeing the Monsterverse in movies and then them finding out them existing in another dimension. You'd also see the Legion of Doom being sick and tired of losing to the Justice League and the Justice League defeating their plans, and them also wanting revenge on the Justice League for them stopping their plans, and them knowing them being able to defeat the Justice League because of them having the talent and skill to pull it off. And also need to change it to Steve Trevor trying to propose to Wonder Woman in the story instead of Superman and Lois Lane doing it. Because us already seeing Superman marry Lois Lane in a bunch of times before, this time you would need to make it Steve Trevor marrying Wonder Woman in the storyline. It would be much bigger and it would have more of an effect on the comic book industry if you do it like this. Because these two finally getting their happy endings in the end, and because they don't get married as much as Superman and Lois Lane do in other forms of media in general. Also wanting to propose to Steve Trevor, with the Justice League supporting their citizens and being really encouraging about it to them, and with them taking over for them for a while, so them being able to take a day off to do it, and that's why Wonder Woman would be saving as many people as they can with Steve Trevor before her doing it, so her being able to enjoy her day off but those people still being okay. Then you'd see Batman and Superman already got married to their most iconic love interest, Catwoman and Lois Lane, and them already having kids with them. Same thing with the Flash and Green Lantern with their most iconic love interest, Iris West, and Star Sapphire, Kara Ferris. And with Aquaman already getting married and having kids with his love of his life, Mera. We'd see this so them being the right guys to give Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor advice about proposing to each other, and to show how good it is that Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor are marrying each other, and why it's so good that Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor are marrying each other. It's that if Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor does it, then all the most iconic Justice Leaguers would have gotten their happy endings in the end. You can also do in the storyline of how much the superheroes need the day off and how important it is for the superheroes to take a day off, but that every superhero knows that being a superhero is a full-time job and that they just can't take a day off even for one day. Because of the world needing them so much, they're not being able to take a day off. But because of the superhero friends and families filling in for each other, and because of them doing extra to make up for it, them finding out that even superheroes need to take a day off because even superheroes need to rest and re-energize. And if there's one kind of people who desperately need a day off, it's heroes, because days of rest are optional to operate at peak proficiency. They also being because there being days where there aren't supervillains doing any crimes at their cities, and also because of them having secret identities. With you getting the most out of it because you might never get to see another crossover like this one again. universe would be perfect to fight against a bunch of giant monsters and for the Halloween spirit. Since it being in the DC universe, you should take advantage of it and use all the monsters of the DC universe fighting against all the Monsterverse monsters. Campbell's Toxic Throat would be perfect against Godzilla's Atomic Breath. He's one of the only DC supervillains big enough to fight against Godzilla. And you should also have Brimstone because of him being a giant radioactive monster. And because Godzilla feeds on radiation and is a giant radioactive monster, he would be perfect to fight against Godzilla. You could also have Captain Atom and Firestorm in there because of them having so much to do with radiation. And with even them having trouble trying to defeat these guys because of there being so much radiation for them to deal with. Captain Atom and Firestorm are still able to help the Justice League defeat them. And because the Doom Patrol is the world's strangest superheroes, they would also need to be there to try and help the Justice League defeat the giant monsters. It would be good them working together with the Teen Titans because Beast Boy used to be a member of the Doom Patrol, and he is one of the most iconic Teen Titans members. So it'd be good you really exploring that Beast Boy used to be a member of the Doom Patrol, but him being a part of the Teen Titans now. You could also do that the Doom Patrol members that died already came back to life, and that some other Doom Patrol members died recently and they came back to life, but after them doing this crossover, them needing to go back to the spiritual world. It would be interesting in it asking some really personal questions of why the other Doom Patrol members came back to life, but why these Doom Patrol members need to stay dead. You would also explore the idea and say why it being so good the original Doom Patrol members sacrificing themselves to save a small fishing town. And what that death meant to Beast Boy, Mentor, and Robot Man since they were the only ones who survived it. And why they hated it so much that they died and why their death hurt them so badly. But them being honored by their sacrifice and them being even more happy that the original Doom Patrol members were brought back to life. It was the first time characters were killed in comic books. The death of Superman was just the first time it happened to an A-lister superhero like Superman. Plus, their death actually stuck for a while even after when the Doom Patrol comic books came back. Against Godzilla because he's already the King Kong of the DC universe. And he definitely shouldn't just get a cameo in it, he should actually fight against Godzilla and be a main part of the story. He is a giant gorilla, if anything him being better for the storyline because of him having kryptonite being so he's more of a threat to Superman. You should make it that Lois Lane and her sister used to play with Titano before her barber sent him into space. And that Titano was intelligent for a chimp, and that Lois Lane was one of the only people who was ever nice to him before him being signed to space because he was a part of a stage act. Lois Lane even did a report on it when she became a part of the Daily Planet, and it being one of her best stories. So you should have his connection to Lois, but you should also have his connection to Harley Quinn in there. And you should also combine all of his origin stories into one, with the scientists treating him badly before he was sent into space. By doing experiments on him, by making him part robot before he was sent into space. Then when they sent him into space, he was hit by two meteors. One made out of different kinds of kryptonite, one made out of uranium and under different colored suns, and because of their being in a combination of different materials that they don't have on Earth, him having kryptonite powers, and him not just kryptonite risen, and him also being able to use different kinds of kryptonite. Also having weapons from his robot parts. His kryptonite raising Godzilla's atomic breath would be good against Superman, and he would also be good for Lois and convincing him to fight against Godzilla. Gorilla Grodd would know that King Kong is an ape god, and try to mind control him, and because if Gorilla Grodd can mind control an ape god, he would be an ape god. Should also have the Legion of Superheroes in there. Because since it's such a big event in the future, them needing to make sure it plays out the original way it played out, and it showing the superheroes and giant monsters legends throughout history. Just need to do it in the time trap and manage to change some things from the past so it affecting the future to bring these giant monsters into the DC universe. so he can use it to get rid of the Legion of Superheroes in the future, and also so he can take over the world in the modern day. And you'd also need to make him also bring the Fatal 5 from the future to help him fight against the Legion of Superheroes, because the Fatal 5 is the Legion of Superheroes' arch nemesis.
I knew what I was doing, but I couldn't stop.
Tear him to bits, slowly.
If you have the Fatal 5 in there, then you being able to use Valdis, one of the monsters of the DC universe. And it would be good to have someone who can interact more easily with the other Legion of Doom members. Batman fight against the giant monsters with his giant robot bat suit. Some other superheroes would do it too with their giant robot suits, because of Batman planning for this just in case they're needing to fight against Titano. Then them all combining the giant robot suits into Justice Prime Megazord and then fight against the giant monsters. Then the Teen Titans would also have some giant robots of their own, because it turns out it would be something that Nightwing and Cyborg have been working on for quite some time now recently, because there being so many people in the DC universe with growing and shrinking powers. And Toyman would use a giant robot toy to fight against the Justice League giant robots. Toyman was right about the Justice League always winning because the Legion of Doom doesn't work together good. Then you would say reasons of why it being good and working together logically, because of them not betraying each other and because of them not wanting them out to the other Justice League members. So they would get some new Legion of Doom members to even out each Legion of Doom member and to become a mediator between the members of the Legion of Doom. And Lex Luthor would try to destroy the Justice League with his giant robot. Because both Lex Luthor and Toyman are gadget geniuses like Batman, so it would make sense for them too. And for them to try to level the playing field with the Justice League having giant robots too. You would have all the Clayfaces there. Because since there's more than one Clayface and the other ones deserve some love too, it would be good to restore the name of Clayface to what it used to be, and they did also recently bring back the other Clayfaces, so this would be a good way to honor it and to make sure it's staying like that. There have been 8 Clayfaces, and each one of them being different enough to stand on their own. There would be the new supervillain members for the Legion of Doom because of them having different enough personalities yet still being similar to each other to even out the Legion of Doom's personalities and members. You would have the original Clayface Bastard Carl as the main Clayface and the Clayface you use when you just want to use one Clayface. You just having Matt Hagen as a henchman for one of the other Clayfaces. Preston Payne would still be Clayface, but would also be known as Dr. Payne because of him being more different than the other Clayfaces and him being the most likely to stand on his own from the other Clayfaces. Sandra Fleur would be Lady Clayface and she would always be with Preston Payne, her husband, and you'd also use her being a supervillain mother of a Clayface kid to flesh it out more. And you'd also make it them being good together, and you'd also make it that their kid also becoming Clayface. And you'd also need to make it their kid Cassidy Payne is the Clayface as the powers of all the other Clayfaces, because of him inheriting it from his family members and him also becoming a supervillain Clayface. Then for Ethan Bennett, he is a good friend of Batman and one of the only good cops in Gotham City. You just need to keep his origin story the same, but also add in the fact him being sick and tired of there being corrupt cops in Gotham City and him also being friends with Harvey Dent and him being affected when Harvey Dent became Two-Face. With him being cured, but on occasion him being able to turn back into Clayface as a cop, and also him being the head of security at Wayne Tech, and him also having Batman as a superhero in Gotham. With Ethan Bennett also having a good relationship with his partner Alan Yindo, who also should really show up more in the Batman comic books, being a good cop in Gotham City and having a different kind of relationship with Batman than he has with Commissioner Gordon or Renee Montoya. And Chief Bohad just being a bad cop in Gotham City and him just proving how good Harvey Bullock is. Ethan Bennett would become Clayface because of one of Joker's gag gadgets, Joker Putty. If you put it on anything, it becomes marble clay, and it also affecting his mind. But after him trying to stop a rare jewel smuggling operation at one of the Penguin's hideouts, him being exposed as something Penguin is trying to give to another person, which he stole from Washington DC, Wonder Woman City, from Wonder Woman's villain Cersei, a clay cube that was responsible for the Roman states such as shape-shifting powers, and Ethan Bennett would have already been willing to work with Batman when he was a part of the GCPD, and him always being a little bit crazy. But then the Joker trying to use mind control to make Ethan Bennett crazy, and in the effects of the clay cube, and him becoming a clay monster from both of them, just pushed him over the edge. But after Batman telling him his secret, him becoming one of Batman's partners in the superhero world, him and the other guys from the Batman show would need to look exactly the same of how they looked in the Batman cartoon show. Because he would look like that because of him having a loss of identity of who he is, from needing to choose between the GCPD, who already thought he wasn't right for him, but then him finding out it is right for him, and him needing to choose between Batman, who he knows is better than the GCPD. To also represent how messed up his mind is from the Joker messing with it and all the stuff that happened to him with the clay cube afterwards, which would also help him turn into a clay monster and get Clayface's shape-shifting powers, which would be why him being able to control his shape-shifting and him being able to just stay human unlike the other Clayfaces. The only reason why him not being in jail is because of them winning in a court case about it, and on the condition of him not using his powers unless it being for the law. And if he uses his powers, he would go power mad. But because of the Joker Putty and the clay cube turning him into Clayface, and because of him being affected by a cure that Wayne Enterprises did, that Bruce Wayne would do to try to save his old friend, it looked like him being cured for a while, but it turns out him still having his powers, but him not going crazy afterwards. And you would still believe in the GCPD, he would just especially believe in the good cops of the GCPD, like Detective Alan Yindel and Commissioner James Gordon. And him thinking that he is a cop even if he's not a part of the force, always has been and always will be, even when he's working together with Batman. And he wouldn't know how to use his powers at first, but him starting to get used to it. And after him getting out of prison, the first thing him doing is playing hoops with Bruce Wayne. And the way you would show him being good friends with Bruce Wayne is by them playing basketball together because of it being their bonding thing that they do together and them enjoying in general. Just doing it in a flashback because of this already happening in the Batman cartoon show. You'd also need to keep the origin story of his friendship with Bruce Wayne the same, and how Bruce Wayne became a good friend of Alan Yendo's too, with him also doing other things to hang out with Bruce Wayne, and them also hang out doing different things. He would originally go after Chief Volha for a while because of Chief Volha's zero policy against all freaks policy, then him going after the Joker because the Joker turned him into it, but then him eventually letting go of his vendetta against the Joker. Which would be good, someone finally letting go of the vendetta against the Joker, unlike Jason Todd who never lets go of his vendetta against the Joker. And it being because he knows why Batman doesn't kill the Joker, and because he knows Batman is good stopping the Joker how he already does it. And so Batman doesn't become a monster like the Joker. So there would still be proof of good people in Gotham City, for the other good people of Gotham City to look up to and to know there being hope. So you making it obvious that Ethan Bennett knows Batman's secret identity, but Detective Alan Yindel doesn't know his secret identity. Because he would try to expose Batman's secret identity for a while, but then she would find out that Gotham needs the Batman, so she would stop trying to do it and her working together with Batman, but then still not telling her just to make sure. And it would be good to see Ethan Bennett interact with other Bat family members and him having a good relationship with other Bat family members. And also, you need to make it obvious that the rest of the GCPD doesn't know Batman's secret identity, and you just leaving it up in the air if Commissioner James Gordon knows Batman's secret identity or not, and the other Bat family members, particularly Batgirl, his daughter, Barbara Gordon. Ethan Bennett only becoming a supervillain because of a misunderstanding, and because of him still getting used to his powers. With him stopping Clayface 8 with the same cure Batman used on him by making sure Batman did it to both of them at the same time, which is why Ethan Bennett and Clayface 8 kept their powers, and that Clayface 8 managed to become Clayface 8 by using a sample of Clayface's 7's DNA, which he ate, which he stole from Wayne Enterprises, which they only had to show them being able to do a cure for Ethan Bennett's Clayface. And Clayface 8 would only do it because he was a terrible actor and looked hideous, so he did so he can change his looks. But then he did so he would become famous, and him being able to end up in talk shows because of it. And Clayface 8 would always be a little crazy, but then him being drove crazy by him becoming Clayface 8. With him lying about his origin story, but then him telling the truth about it, of why him being a supervillain and everyone knowing about it, and people actually starting to like that about him. And it would turn out Clayface 8 still keeping his powers too, and with Clayface 8 being able to turn into Clayface whenever he wants to. Ethan Bennett would help Batman fight other supervillains, but him usually going up against other Clayfaces, and Clayface 8 specifically, and also the original Clayface specifically. And Cassidy Payne Clayface, and the other members of the Mud Pack, the other Clayfaces. Then also for Clayface 8, you would need to make him a future Clayface in the modern day, and make it well known that he was Martian Manhunter at fake Justice League from Earth 3, the Crime Syndicate's Earth, with him only showing up as a member of the Mud Pack, a supervillain team made out of Clayfaces, and him also usually working for Amanda Waller's Suicide Squad. This is a part of Clayface that was injected with the Joker toxin. You would need to make it that he's both a member of the Mud Pack and also him showing up with the Laugh Pack, a team of Joker's partners that usually help him with supervillain crimes. All the Clayfaces would combine into one giant monster to fight against the Justice League and the giant monsters. To fight against the Justice League and the other giant monsters of the Monsterverse. Because not only is he one of the most iconic members of the Legion of Doom and one of the most iconic Wonder Woman villains, she is the most iconic giant woman in the DC Universe and the most iconic supervillain with glowing and swinging powers in general. She would do to destroy Wonder Woman, and she would do it to make sure that the Justice League lose fighting against the giant monsters of the Monsterverse. After Squad loses control of the giant monsters, the Justice League, and the Legion of Doom, and the good giant monsters like Godzilla and King Kong would need to work together to defeat the other giant monsters. So you need Black Manta being in charge of the Atlantean military to fight against the other giant monsters at sea. And because Black Manta is Aquaman's arch nemesis, and since Black Manta hates Aquaman so much, it would be good to see him command the Atlantean military to go against giant monsters, because both Aquaman and Black Manta go against sea monsters all the time. And because of Black Manta having experience going up against Aquaman. You would need to do the Justice League trying to stop King Kong and Godzilla from fighting each other because of them destroying the city if they do it. With it saying out like that, but because of Gorilla Grodd mind controlling the monsters to fight against the Justice League would actually fight against Godzilla and King Kong. But then Gorilla Grodd would lose control of the giant monsters because of them being more powerful than the usual giant monsters in the DC Universe like Titano. And with John Kent, Superboy, and Damian Wayne Robin convincing King Kong and Godzilla not to go against the Justice League because of them being the human allies of Godzilla and King Kong, like how Godzilla and King Kong have human allies in their original movies. This way you'd show Godzilla and King Kong being the best of the giant monsters because of them being the most of a good person out of the giant monsters. And also you showing some respect for the original idea of Godzilla vs King Kong, and you also throwing in the usual superhero connection they have there with giant monsters and superheroes fighting against them, and with superheroes fighting against these iconic giant monsters. But then after King Kong and the Justice League work together to stop Mechagodzilla and Mecha King Kong, and them also need to work together with the other superheroes in the Legion of Doom to fight against the giant monsters of the Monsterverse. For you to get the most of the Justice League working together with the Legion of Doom, you'd also need every giant monster in general for this crossover. The governments of the DC Universe would try to fight against the giant monsters, with us also seeing Amanda Waller and Sam Lane, but us finding out the military not being able to stop them, so them working together with the Justice League and letting the Justice League stop the giant monsters. And you'd also need the Justice Society to show where it all started because they were the world's first superhero team. And also for them showing the superheroes throughout the generations, and also you showing the original versions of these superheroes, us bonding with the most iconic versions of these superheroes with their partners of those superheroes. And you're also showing that the Justice Society's legends are still going strong into the future with the Legion of Superheroes, the Teen Titans, and the Justice League. The Teen Titans should be the ones keeping this crossover together with the Justice League and it connecting everything with the giant monsters and the other superheroes and supervillains, and them dealing with it during the Halloween spirit, but them managing to finish it up after them being done with the Halloween spirit. The other horror stuff would just be happening with the other superheroes at the time, and them just dealing with that at the same time as the other stuff in this crossover. The Teen Titans should help the Justice League get out of their emotional funk by offering emotional support to them, and them just seeing it as doing quality time with the Justice League, because of them already proving them not being just their sidekicks anymore, and them being their own superheroes. Batman, Robin, Cyborg, and Superman would combine the Phantom Zone projector, the Mother Box, and power it by using the Dreamstone to send all the giant monsters back to their own dimension. And them also helping the Legion of Superheroes defeat the Time Trapper, and them helping the Legion of Superheroes send the Fatal Five and the Time Trapper back to their own dimension in time, with the Legion of Superheroes with them, and help the Justice League defeat the other supervillains from the Legion of Doom. Then Steve Trevor would try to marry Wonder Woman and she would say yes to it, with both Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor proposing to each other. Then they would celebrate with the other superheroes and it would be their idea to celebrate with the Justice League with a big pizza party. It also being to celebrate superheroes in general and how far they've come over the years, and Wonder Woman saying yes to marrying Steve Trevor, and that the legacy of the superheroes will go on forever. A bunch of the Teen Titans members even having a food eating contest with a bunch of the other Justice League members. Then we'd see Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor years in the future with them being married and having kids together. And the DC Universe continuing on from there, and us saying it being good them getting their happy endings in the end. It being a good piece of continuity for the DC Universe because of their daughter being Alita Trevor.
That's all, folks.